Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host, Kieran Mack, as always, and delighted you've been able to tune in with us yet again for another show. Now, before we do get started, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and give us an old share on social media if you can. Now, if you like listening to us on a podcast player, there's a link down below in the description, which will take you to a website where a vast array of podcast players can be found. And finally, if you want to support the show, if you like the show, a couple of ways you can do it. The first way is just to become a channel member, and you can do so through YouTube, or alternatively you can also buy us a coffee on buymeacoffee.com, link also down below in the description. And finally, if you want to follow us on TikTok or Instagram, links are also down below there. On TikTok, we're doing short versions of these videos, so you'll get them for a minute 30, and you can subscribe and follow us there as well. It's proven to be quite popular and a great way to get your news in the evening time. So now that's all done and dusted, let's jump into the top stories doing the rounds here in Thailand today. Intoxicated foreigner collides with motorbike taxi, injuring 2 girls in Pattaya. Pattaya City police responded to a distressing scene when a foreigner reportedly intoxicated collided with a motorbike taxi driver carrying 2 young female passengers near Wat Chai, Banglamung, Chonburi. The collision left many injured, prompting the dispatch of rescue teams from Sawang Boriboon Foundation and relevant agencies. The incident involved Mr. Nairun Promsari, a 35-year-old motorbike taxi rider who sustained minor injuries. Nairun recounted picking up 2 female passengers for religious purposes, only to be struck by a black motorbike at high speed while making a U-turn in front of Wat Chai. Eyewitnesses corroborated Nairun's version of events. The suspect, identified as a 39-year-old British national Mr. Ashton James Ellison, was allegedly heavily intoxicated and sustained a head injury. Rescue teams administered first aid and promptly transported the injured parties to a local hospital. Ashton, attempting to flee while under medical care, was swiftly apprehended by Pattaya City police. Investigations, including alcohol tests on Ashton, are underway to determine appropriate legal action. The 2 young girls seriously injured in the incident remain hospitalized, with their current condition undisclosed. So again, more bad behavior by foreigners here in Thailand. For me, anybody caught drink driving like this, throw the book at them. Hopefully plenty of compensation, pay the bills for these girls that were injured, and something on the side for them after. And he should obviously be brought to court if convicted, whatever the punishment is, and then deported back to the UK, and that should be his punishment. I'm getting pretty tired of people, guys, and just for people out there, one of the things I despise more than anything is drink driving. I just think it is one of the worst things you can do. You can get behind a wheel of a vehicle, whether it's a car or a motorbike, drunk, not in control, and put other people's lives at risk, all because you feel that you're capable of driving and whatnot. It's just something that I've always despised, and I will continue to it. You'll never hear me condoning it. As far as I'm concerned, the book should be thrown at this guy, and end of story. Now, moving along. Phuket has been, just a fantastic story for the last couple of weeks. It is basically the province that won't stop giving. So we've got a number of stories, and it's all to do with the crackdown on illegal activities by foreigners in Phuket, and unfortunately, it seems to be Russians. Phuket authorities crack down on a fraudulent visa processing firms. Phuket authorities launch a series of raids across 8 locations targeting suspected fraudulent activities involving a Russian national accused of money laundering. The crackdown follows the discovery of suspicious financial transactions, including a scam that transferred 500,000 baht from a victim's bank account to the Russian's account. The suspect, who had presented himself as an employee of a defunct Phuket-based company, allegedly withdrew a total of 186 million baht from the multiple bank accounts, raising red flags for potential money laundering. Now, investigations revealed that the company in question had been established solely to produce counterfeit documents supporting foreign visas and work permit applications. Led by 2 Thai women and a Russian woman, the company's operations extended to 37 other entities with shared ownership. During the raids, officers found mostly empty premises, indicating the extent of the suspected fraudulent activities. Now, confessions from the Thai women confirmed their involvement in setting up bogus companies to facilitate visa and work permit applications for foreigners. Additionally, authorities seized stamps belonging to over 50 companies, shedding light on the scale of the fraudulent operations. The crackdown underscores the authorities' commitment to combating illegal practices in visa processing and financial transactions within Phuket, aiming to safeguard the integrity of the immigration process and financial systems. Before we go on to the next story, which is slightly related, just on that, I think most people know, if you're living here in Phuket, or even if you're not, you know this kind of stuff goes on, and it's been going on for years. And by the way, not just foreign companies owned by Russians, but I know a lot of Thai people who are running these visa and work permit companies, who are getting work permits, and I'm not quite sure how. They're setting up companies and they're just getting work permits issued from a company that does nothing. And someday I might tell you a story about a neighbour of mine who eventually got caught doing all this, but that's for a different day, and when that case is finished in court and we can legally talk about it, because I've got quite the story about that too, but we'll leave that for another day. But nevertheless, anybody who's been caught up in this, who's been, issued visas and work permits, I'm really sorry, but your days are probably numbered here in Phuket, and it seems like it's an awful lot of people. But if you're ever wondering how so many foreign people seem to have no job but have work permits and non-B visas, this may be shedding a light onto that. Now, we also, and continuing on, 5 arrests in the Octopus restaurant nominee raid. So 5 individuals, including 3 Russians, were arrested in a recent police raid on the Octopus restaurant in Chonburi in Phuket. The raid was led by the Region 8 Police Deputy Commander and also his assistant. The operation targeted not only the restaurant, but also several private residences. Authorities from 6 government and law enforcement agencies participated in the raid, which was prompted by a tip-off about illegal business activities at the restaurant. It was alleged that foreigners were using a nominee shareholder to run the business unlawfully. The restaurant, owned by VVG Alliance Co Limited, had a registered capital of 80 million baht. Its directors were a Thai national called Punyanuk Tongkob and a Russian national, Vladislav Zinikov. However, it was revealed that Zinikov was the true owner, with Punyanuk acting only as a nominee shareholder. Now, Pavel Shapalov, another individual involved, was responsible for administrative tax and financial matters under a power of attorney from Zinikov. All 5 suspects were arrested for violating the Foreign Business Act and the Alien Work Act. Additionally, authorities found evidence suggesting illegal transactions related to digital currencies, breaching the Digital Assets Business Operations Act of 2018. Now, investigations are ongoing as authorities suspect the involvement of other individuals in the case. Documents seized during the raid will be examined to expand the investigation further. And as I said in the previous article, which are kind of related in many ways, this is going on in Phuket now for quite a while. Now, but what is the reason behind this? And let's talk openly about the reason. The reason is lack of law enforcement in Phuket for many years. Obviously, there has to be some Thai officials involved in all of this who's allowing it, because I think most people would be able to spot a bogus company and understanding what's going on in that. So I think there's an overall cooperation, I would say, between officials in Phuket and, of course, obviously these people from Russia and other countries who are, taking advantage of that. The bottom line is that if Thailand and Phuket and other places like it want to be taken seriously, they have to stop this kind of thing. I don't know how deep this goes in Phuket. I have a suspicion that this is going to be a very ongoing thing, that we're going to be hearing lots of stories about this over the next couple of weeks and months. And of course, this all stems, by the way, this has all started basically since the Swiss guy, David Ayers, or whatever his name was, got caught kicking the doctor on the beach. And this can all be traced back to then. Up until that moment in time, everybody was getting away with everything. But now it's over and it's finished. And I think there's a lot of people who've been living in Phuket who are getting very, very nervous right now. And I suspect we're going to see a lot of people leaving in the next couple of weeks, because either by, being forced to leave by the police or on their own accord because they know their time is basically up. But we'll keep an eye on it. There's going to be a lot more stories. A special task force has been set up I've read that there's over 400 foreigners this month alone in Phuket have been prosecuted and deported. So things are getting serious for people in Phuket. And if you're not there legally, you're not following the law, well, I think you're going to end up having a chat with a policeman or an immigration officer fairly soon, and you might be heading home. But we'll move along. Thailand mulls extending emergency cover for injured foreign tourists. Now, road and water accidents are an alarming concern for foreign travellers in Thailand, exacerbated by lax adherence to regulations by some rental car shops and tourists. The Tourism and Sports Ministry is collaborating with the National Institute for Emergency Medicine in deliberating extending the universal coverage for emergency patients, that's USEP, program to include foreign tourists, aiming to enhance their safety. Minister Sudawan emphasised the need for nationwide access to emergency medical services for foreign tourists, citing incidents where tourists face hurdles in receiving timely treatment. Statistics indicated a concerning trend with road accidents, causing 82 injuries and water accidents leading to 18 deaths among tourists as of March 31st this year. To address these challenges, the minister is considering integrating foreign tourists into the USEP scheme, which currently offers compensation for injury and death. Additionally, collaboration with other ministries, particularly the Commerce Ministry, to regulate rental shops and heightened enforcement of safety regulations are deemed imperative to mitigate risks and ensure the well-being of tourists visiting Thailand. So this article, I think this was in The Nation or the Bangkok Post, I can't remember, but it's actually very interesting, because they're kind of skirting over a lot of the problems here first. Firstly, anybody traveling to Thailand, in my opinion, if you're a tourist, should be forced to have travel insurance that covers you for your time in this country. And that would put an awful big stop to the amount of problems that they're having here in the country. Firstly, everybody entering the country must have travel insurance. That's it. There's a start. The second thing they need to do, and they spoke about it, but it's lax as always, is every business that's related to tourism, whether you're renting a motorbike or you're renting a jet ski or paragliding or whatever else, zip lines, etc., must be a proper legal business. That means you're paying tax, you're registered with the government, okay? And you have the correct public liability insurance that a business should have. So if you go to one of these nice 4- or 5-star hotels in Thailand, all of them have public liability insurance. If something happens to a customer in their hotel, they have an insurance policy that will help take care if something happens and they have to pay out or whatnot. Somebody gets injured, whatever it may be. But this is what needs to happen here. But in Thailand, we're still at the stage where anybody can open a business, doesn't even need to register the business, doesn't need to have insurance, and off they go, and there's no problem. And I think if people are going to be in the tourism business, they need to be legitimate companies, paying legitimate taxes and have proper insurance. And any business found that's not complying with the law gets shut down and the owner's prosecuted. I think this is the only way things are going to ever improve here in Thailand. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you think about that, as always, down below in the wonderful comment section. By the way, thank you for all the comments the last day and over the last few days. You guys have some great arguments about things, and I love reading through them, and you're very smart people out there and you've all got great opinions, so keep those opinions coming. Now, the cabinet has approved the 400 baht minimum wage, but it's only for hotel workers in specific locations. I know, I just said that, right? Cabinet approves the 400 baht. The cabinet endorsed the wage committee's proposal for an increase in minimum wage to 400 baht for employees of 4-star hotels and above in specific areas of 10 toured provinces, effective from April 13th. Now, the 4- and 5-star hotels must employ at least 50 employees, must be located in either Pattaya or Wat Chai districts in Bangkok, Ao Nang sub-district in Krabi, Pattaya in Chonburi, the municipal area of Chiang Mai's Muang district, Hua Hin and Prachakiri Khan, Kuk Kak in Panya's Takupa district, Phuket province, the whole province, in Rayong province, and in Hat Yai in Songkhla and Koh Samui in Surat. Now, the wage committee reasoned that the 10 selected provinces generate considerable income from tourism. Its decision has gone through a public hearing process in which all stakeholders were involved, and that both the employers and employees should benefit from tourism business. Some hotels in these areas had, however, voiced objection to the wage increase, claiming that they're not yet ready to bear the increased costs. It's a bit of a strange one. The Phua Thai party promised, I think it was 600 baht or 650 in the next 4 years for all workers in the country. And now they specifically just upped the wage for hotel workers in 4 and 5-star hotels, only in certain areas. I can understand the reasoning behind it. They're probably thinking the hotel industry is booming at the moment, and hoteliers should be well able to pay 400 baht per day, by the way, per day, not per hour, per day. So we're going to move along to the final story of the day. The Constitutional Court accepts to consider disbanding the Move Forward Party. The Constitutional Court said today that it has accepted for consideration an application seeking the dissolution of the opposition Move Forward Party. The complaint and application were filed by the Election Commission after the same court ruled unanimously in January that the party and its leader, Pita Limjaroenrat, were guilty of exercising their rights and liberties to overthrow the constitutional monarchy through their proposed amendment of Section 112 of the Criminal Code, or the Lèse Majesté law, and continuous campaigning for the amendment bill. Move Forward has 15 days to submit its defence. In its complaint filed to the court, the EC found sufficient evidence to believe that the party has attempted to overthrow the constitutional monarchy in accordance with Political Parties Act. Commenting on the Election Commission's decision to ask the court to dissolve the party, Move Forward's spokesman Brit Wat Chai told the media that the party and its legal team have been preparing for this moment. He asked the media not to jump to the conclusion that the party will be dissolved, saying that their legal team will defend the party and prove its innocence. The issue at stake, he said, is not just the fate of the party, but also setting up a precedent for Thai politics in the future. I'd love to go into this, but as you know, being in Thailand, we have to be very careful what we say. I will say that I think they have no chance of defending it. They've already basically been found guilty by the Constitutional Court already, which paved the way for the Election Commission to come back with, because they're the ones who can bring it now back to the Constitutional Court. And if they've already ruled that they broke the rules and regulations and they've done all that, they're going to be found guilty again. I just don't see how it's not going to happen. Basically, what will happen is that they'll be disbanded. Pita Limjaroenrat and some of the senior executive will be banned from politics for 10 years or so. The current Move Forward Party MPs will form a new party, I guess. They have names already, I've seen. And they'll go back into the opposition again. And we're just basically back where we are. But I feel that this might propel Move Forward, or whatever they are, even higher up in the next general election. And there probably is a concern that disbanding them might actually make them even more popular than they were during the last election. And that could spell, well, the end of many other political parties here in the country. But that is it, I guess, in terms of that. And as we conclude today's episode, I want to invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. This show isn't just about delivering news, it's about fostering a conversation. Your insights and perspectives matter. So keep the dialogue alive, like the video, subscribe to our channel and share it with others. Your support means the world to us. I'm Kieran Mack and you've been tuning in to the Thai Expat Daily Show. Until next time, take care and stay engaged.